Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
Today's edition of Helping Seniors TV features a discussion on the nuances you need to know about senior real estate. Our guest, Debbie Beard, Senior Real Estate Specialist with Next Chapter Real Estate, shines a spotlight on the things to consider when buying or selling as a senior.
I'm Kerry Fink with Helping Seniors of Brevard. Welcome to Helping Seniors Television. This is the show that is designed to educate and inform and connect you to resources that are going to help you as you develop your own aging plan. As you know, we've been using the theme this whole year, get your ducks in a row. And that's kind of our euphemism for something our president and founder, Joe Steckler, has talked about since the day he started Helping Seniors of Brevard back in 2011. And quite frankly, he was already on this in before that, when he was building the Joe's Clubs and everything with Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation. And that's the fact that as we age, we need to be aware that we need to have something called an aging plan. And again, this is not to be confused with that thing that maybe a financial planner talks to you about called a financial or a retirement plan, where they say, okay, we want to get your money in your 401k or in these certain investments so that you have retirement income. That's an aspect of it, but there's a whole lot more that goes into it. Here in Florida, we're familiar with the concept of hurricane planning. They say, what's your hurricane plan? And that's not because you hope we're going to have a hurricane. It's actually precisely the opposite, but it is to prepare you if there is going to be a hurricane. You have some ideas about how you're going to maneuver, what you're going to do, how you're going to keep your property safe, how you're going to keep your life safe. And the same thing happens with aging. We can't predict everything that comes along that way, but we can plan and prepare in great detail for it. So that's why our theme this year at Helping Seniors has been, let's get our ducks in a row, and let's really take the wisdom of some of the experts that have been connected with the Helping Seniors and who are really knowledgeable in certain components of this that will make a big difference for you as you consider your own aging plan. And then you can tell folks that the next time you're together, say, hey, I'm getting my ducks in a row. And the Helping Seniors folks are helping us do that. And so with that, I would like to introduce one of our great friends of the Helping Seniors organization, goes back many years. He actually volunteers her time on the board of Helping Seniors. She is something that if you go back and you look through some of the prior broadcasts that we've done on television for Helping Seniors, they're all available. HelpingSeniorsofBrevard.org. You can go find the programs there. You can find them on YouTube television. If you like Facebook, that's fine. You can find them on Facebook Watch. But we're talking about something, and I want you to look up, write down this acronym. It's going to help you a lot. SRES, Senior Real Estate Specialist. Less than 2% of real estate agents in this country are senior real estate specialist trained, certified. And we have the privilege of having with us here from Next Chapter Real Estate, none other than Debbie Beard. How are you, Debbie?
Fine. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you, Kerry.
Well, I think people they may never have heard those four letters, SRES, before, but by the time you finish watching through this program, you're going to understand what a great advantage that is, particularly whether you're buying or selling real estate as a senior or thinking for helping the senior that you love and care for. There's a lot of reasons why you need to know about this, not the least of which is some of the things that could happen along the way that you need to be thinking about in terms of your aging plan. How do you, well, first of all, you have a great background yourself, Debbie. You have been involved in administration for senior facilities and working with people on that level. But then you also have all this experience in the real estate side. How did all this come together, and how did you determine that you needed to look into this SRES designation?
Well, as an executive director for nursing homes and assisted livings, I kept seeing the same scenario where I would see people come in. Usually it wasn't planned that they were going to move to an assisted living. It was usually because of a crisis. And a lot of times it would be an out-of-state daughter that was coming down to help, and they're all of a sudden trying to figure out, what are we going to do? We have this house that maybe mom and dad have lived in for 20, 30 years. So there's a lot of stuff. Obviously, you have maybe seen your parents as often as you would like, and you can tell the health is changing. And so now something has happened and maybe there's a crisis. So now they want to try to make a quick decision. But just as we just talked about, you said the hurricane planning, you should already have a plan and not try to figure it out during the crisis. That's where the problem comes in, because people make not fully informed decisions or react with all the information, and that's usually when they get in more trouble. Part of actually why I started the company was seeing this ongoing problem with people having this crisis mode, not knowing what to do, not understanding what the difference is between a nursing home, a rehab center, the fact that there's levels of care in various assisted livings are not all the same based on your needs. So all those things you should know and educate yourself ahead of time. You may never not need my service, which is fine, but if you do, I want to make sure that you have a senior real estate person to do that, because just as you get older and your health needs change, you may still have your primary care physician. But then as things get maybe a little more technical or complex, you may now go to a cardiologist. Mm-hmm. And it's the same concept with the senior real estate specialist, because as you mentioned, less than 2% of all realtors have taken the time to take this additional training to look for certain things and ask certain questions to make sure that things that are currently an asset do not turn into a liability. Right. So,
you know, Nancy Deerdorf, who is our operations director, has a saying that I really like, and she goes, "How do you know what you don't know?" And see, that's one of the challenges that we have, right? As we approach, whether it's ourselves looking at our senior years, or maybe we're the adult children of some loved ones, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, whoever, that we're trying to help guide or help make sure they're making good decisions for their future. But that always rings in my ears. It's like, how do we know what we don't know? And I've heard from elder law attorneys who often lament they have to tell somebody that's come into their office after a crisis, I wish I had the opportunity to know you 30 days before. We would have many options we don't have now, which is why I think you came with the idea and said, you know, it would really be good for us to help people get equipped, to help them get their ducks in a row, to get a way to get ahead. Because just some of the things that you know to look for, you know, I think, well, I need to sell my house. Maybe I'm going to downsize. Maybe I want to move over to this part of the county. I want to be closer to my son and daughter, whatever the things you think. And you just think, well, all my life I've bought and sold real estate. I've done this before. I'll do it again. But we don't even know some of the questions we might need to know if we're a senior.
Absolutely. I just had a call, last week. It was an out-of-state daughter, got in touch with one of their local realtors. They found me online as a senior real estate specialist here because mom lives here in Melbourne. And unfortunately, she had to put her mother in a nursing home because of health reasons. And they were just going to sell the home. Well, all these years, the home now has been protected with homestead. Right. And now she lives in a nursing home under Medicaid. Well, now the house, if you sell it, is no longer protected under homestead. Now it's an asset.
Wow.
So what you had just mentioned about elder law, have some of that pre-planning where it could have been in a trust, revocable trust, those type of things. You can protect your assets. But if you don't know what you don't know, as you mentioned earlier, you just think you're selling real estate like you always have, but because of your circumstance, the outcome is going to be very different.
Yeah, and isn't it true? Because I've understood, as we've talked about with elder law attorneys, they talk about things they call Medicaid planning. Mm-hmm. I've heard them talk about VA planning. I've heard them talk about all these things called look-back periods and things like that. These are complex terms that even if we've been fairly successful, you know, throughout our careers and we think we know pretty much what we're doing on a business level, there's these nuances and things that come in when you were talking about aging.
Right, because the look-back period, for example, like I said, I don't practice legal advice, but I know enough to make sure we get you to the proper people to make sure we protect your assets. A look-back period, you have people where, I'll just change the deed and give it to my kids now because I know I'm getting older. Well, when you do a 5-year look-back period, they're going to see you just basically gave away your house. Mm-hmm. Well, now you're going to be penalized because of that. Where if you would have went to an elder law attorney, they could have protected that properly and you wouldn't have that situation.
Yeah. And, you know, it's the fact that you have that expertise, both, if you will, on the administrative side from having worked with elderly and seniors for so many years, but also that you've taken the time to school yourself and get certified as a senior real estate specialist. In fact, I remember, it wasn't so long ago, that they actually gave you an award or something, because that really put you at like the peak of all that.
Right, yeah, it was actually a national award from the National Association of Realtors. It's from the Senior Real Estate Council, and they vote on basically your education, your years of community service for the seniors, like what you're giving back to the community and your knowledge base. And so it was myself and two others on a North American award. There was one person from Canada and myself and another person that won.
That was very impressive. But like, if you meet somebody and you pass out a business card, and I don't mean this in a wrong way, but people go, oh, I can throw this in with the 12 other real estate business cards I picked up at this event. There is something different, though, about what you bring to the to the seller or the buyer's benefit. And talk a little bit about that.
Well, besides some of the legal things we just talked about to look for, a lot of times our seniors, when it's time to even downsize or maybe move to an assisted living, whatever the case is, it's more than just selling the home, because there's years and years of things that either we need to downsize, we need to have an estate sale, you know, due to health reasons. Do you need help with packing and sorting, getting organized before the sale? Do we need to have an estate person come? Like, there's all these other parts of moving. It's not just sell the house, because a lot of times I have my seniors that, oh, we're going to do it. My friends are going to come over. We're going to start going through things. Well, that usually lasts about 2 weeks, because everyone's as tired as the other person. So it takes too long to get across to actually, you know, get through everything. So then what I call getting frozen is what happens. Because you open up a closet or you open up the drawers that you haven't been in for a while, and it's like, oh, what am I going to do? Where do I start? So then what happens is you don't do anything. So those are the other parts of being a senior real estate person, is to look at everything, your health, your home, the whole situation holistically, to know what to do. Because one of the things I find with seniors, why, even though they may have talked about moving for years, they never do it, because they don't know how to get all that organized and orchestrated. So part of being a senior real estate specialist is also orchestrating all those things for you. So I have many, many people I work with that I can pull together. It's up to you if how much you use or how much you do not use. It's up to you. I'm basically write the plan, but you're the supervisor still. So you're always still the supervisor in charge. I'm just being the organizer of things, so you don't have to be so tired.
So I guess a question I wanted to ask about that is, like, you probably pick up a lot of calls from people that are looking for that help. They've reached a place where there's a fork in the road. You know, the current house isn't going to work. And I guess probably too, because for a lot of seniors, maybe we've been in our homes for a long, long time, and maybe we've deferred some maintenance or other things that might be necessary. You know, it was interesting, a conversation we were having before the cameras were rolling. You had mentioned, you know, a lot of times I'll help them kind of identify some areas that we might want to go ahead and look at even before, because the home buyer is going to come in and say, well, I want to do my inspection, and then there's going to be all these little things that pop up.
Right. There's several different inspections that are common with a house. You have the general inspection, and they're just looking at your overall condition. There's the termite, that inspection, and then there's also two that are called, one is a wind mitigation, and the other is a 4-point inspection. Those two are for insurance purposes. So whoever's going to buy your house needs to have passing wind mitigation and 4-point inspection for them to obtain insurance. And what I've seen in the past is someone chooses not to pre-inspect their home before they list, and then when it comes time, they're under contract, they're very excited, but they're in the inspection period. The buyer now has inspections, and these things come up. And what happens then is the contract could get canceled because they don't want to deal with these things. Well, now your listing started out as a fresh listing on the MLS service. And now it's becoming an old listing. So your initial marketing of that home was very exciting. You're the new kid on the block. You got the new house, everyone's looking on Zillow and different places. Well, now it's sitting longer and longer because the time is still clicking why you were in this inspection period and all this stuff. So now someone's going through the MLS or on Zillow or Realtor.com and they see the same house still there. So now it's not, oh, the new house is, oh, what's wrong with that house? Right. And so to avoid having that stigma, even though there may not be anything wrong with your home, it's really proactive to go and do this. Another thing I find is if your age of your roof, and if it's a shingle roof, you get in that 15-ish year age, some home inspectors will say there's no life left. And their 4-point may also reflect that. So I also deal with another inspector. I usually pay for it myself for my clients, and what it's called a roof certification, and they do it for VA and FHA, but I can do it for conventional as well. And basically, you get a report, and it tells me of your life of your roof. Wow. So for insurance purposes, if you have 5 or more years left on your roof, and another inspector comes in representing the buyer, and they're saying, "Oh, you need to replace the roof," you've already protected yourself with an inspection that says, "No, I have more than 5 years." So it takes some of that negotiation it puts you on a good position as well for that.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're talking about that. I think about that often quoted phrase, you get one chance to make a first impression. And I think that's what you were talking about. You want it to be right when it goes on the market for the maximum benefit, really for you in the end, but also to people who are going to come and take a look at it. So it's really ready to go. And I guess that's a thing that your wisdom and your experience in this really makes a difference for the folks listing the house. We talk a lot on the Helping Seniors side about, aging. I say this a lot. Aging is on the job training for all of us. None of us have ever actually been there before. It is a day-by-day, step-by-step process. But one of the things you can do is benefit from the experience of people who are experts in the particular areas of aging that you're dealing with. You trust your doctor says, you might want to think about this. The same way you're going to trust your elder law attorney who's helping you put together those documents, because this is certainly not the first time that they've dealt with that particular situation. But the same is true, Debbie, with what you do at Next Chapter Real Estate, right? Because you're all about making sure that things are going to come out as best as possible for the seniors that you deal with, because even questions to ask that maybe a novice realtor who doesn't have that extra training or background in senior issues wouldn't even think to know to advise you about.
I agree, because once we get past some of how the home is deeded and those type of things, right away seniors think, "Oh, I need to upgrade my kitchen, or I need to remodel my bathroom." That is always market specific on where we're at, as far as is it a buyer's market or is it a selling market? Right now it's a seller's market. So one of the listings I have coming up, that was a concern of this senior. That, well, maybe I need to repaint the interior and I need to do some things. I said, no, not in this market. You don't need to do that, because I don't want you to be spending money unnecessarily. Right. I rather have you, let's make sure the back of your toilets have the right valves on them, which will cost $4 versus redoing your kitchen. Right. Because that is going to make the house, because it doesn't matter how many people come and look at your house. It doesn't matter if you start a contract. Our end goal is to get to the closing table. Yeah. And we want to get to the closing table and get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time and the least amount of effort and stress.
And I've seen you personally. I remember a case where some years ago you were helping a senior across the finish line with a home, and somehow in the middle of that whole process comes popping up a lien that the person didn't even know was there. And I saw how you personally got involved in that and tried to walk through all the possible ways to make sure that person was able to resolve that, because I don't remember the particulars, but I remember at the time it looked pretty sketchy why that lien was there to begin with. And you took the time to really walk through with that senior to get that problem resolved. And I guess that's the thing that makes you stand out in what you do, is that care and compassion, as well as the knowledge for what you're trying to do for that senior or senior couple that's trying to get on to the next chapter.
Right. I mean, in this particular, I won't go into all the details, but it was unfortunate. It was the seniors that were scammed.
Yeah.
You know, they were told that they had purchased something and they really didn't get that product. And here they had a lien against their house and didn't even know it for tens of thousands of dollars. And we discovered this, it was a week or so before closing. It would have taken any proceeds they have, I mean, they would have lost all of it. So I started doing research and what is this company, what's going on, got involved with the Attorney General, and we got the lien taken away because it was bogus.
Yeah.
But I mean, these they didn't know where to turn, they didn't know where to look, you know, they're not used to looking at the internet and, you know, and researching things. So I mean, it could have been an absolute disaster.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that is a common thread. Joe Steckler, our president and founder, has always had a knack for pulling together the people who are really dedicated, where I would say that they actually go above and beyond the call of duty to really look after, you know, where a senior is in a particular transaction, whether it be legal, financial, medical, transportation, all those different things. And in this case, housing. And I guess that's a thing that can't be understated either, is the value of having, because I know you and I know the people that you work together with, you all have that level of care and compassion, and we got to protect our seniors.
Absolutely. We're all senior advocates, number one.
Yeah.
Because to us, it's like anyone we work with, even our vendors, our handyman, our contractors, if they don't call when they're supposed to, show up when they're supposed to, all of a sudden they're not on our list, because we work very hard to make sure whoever we recommend to our seniors are absolutely fair and they'll do what they say. Because I know there's so many people out there, unfortunately, that scam seniors.
Yeah. So in this idea of planning ahead a little bit, I wanted to ask you, if you're maybe a viewer of this program and you're starting to think like, I don't know, we're not going to sell our house like next week, but maybe in the next 5 years, you know, I can see we're slowing down. We might want to downsize. We might want to do something different. This is going to make more sense. We want to be closer to the kids, whatever the decision is. How early do you recommend somebody get in touch with you and say, I want to sit down and kind of get a feeling for what might be on the road ahead?
It's not uncommon for me to get calls and start working with someone 6 months plus out.
Wow.
Because sometimes they know those very things. Okay, maybe our house is kind of changing. And I really think that seniors should go out, even if they're not thinking they're ever going to live in an assisted living, go take some tours. Just take some tours of your local assisted livings. Maybe go have lunch. And one reason I say that is because if you've not been in one for ever or years ago, they're like a cruise ship. Who doesn't want to live on a cruise ship?
Right.
You know, and because when I talk with people or talk with them about what their future plans are, the first thing they think about is a nursing home.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're discussing. We're talking about moving somewhere someone can help you.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're going to stay in your house and that is where you're going to stay forever. If you contact me, there's no charge. It's a no obligation consultation. I may look around and there may just be some age-in-place equipment that needs to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not afraid to say, you don't need to go to an assisted living. If we just, you know, retro your bathtub, we put up some grab bars, get rid of your slip rugs that are gonna, you know, make you fall, and you can stay in this house. But that's all part of being holistic and being honest about being the advocate for a senior.
You know, that's again the spirit that I really like about the people that are connected to helping seniors. There is a overriding sense of let's figure out what's going to be best for you. And you know, that just ties us right back to Joe and the whole point about making your aging plan, because it has to be what's right for you given your circumstances. But again, I come back to the part, if we don't know the right questions to ask, and that's always the challenge, you got to sit down with somebody who knows whatever subject that you're dealing with, what the right questions to ask are. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, Debbie, or talk to somebody in your office, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
You can actually call me directly. My number is 321-298-5562. Again, that's 321-298-5562.
And let me ask, what kind of a call do you like to get? Obviously, a great call is, I'm ready to list my house. But short of that, what are calls that you find like, this is what I really like to hear?
I like when someone calls and they're exploring. They're kind of in that beginning stage. They're not in a crisis, because in a crisis, obviously we have to act fast, and we have to, a lot of times, find somewhere even temporary for them to live to be safe. But I think when you're being proactive, which what we're talking about, getting your ducks in a row, those are the best calls. Because maybe all we need to start out with is go to an elder law attorney. Take what documents you do own or don't have. Let's start there. Let's see what documents you may need or a revision, because laws have changed so much. See how your house is deeded, if that's the best way financially for you and your family. So the longer I get the call where we can really look at things, and then maybe I come along and I look at your home, and right now isn't the time to move, but there is a couple safety things. Let's get those things fixed. And then maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, maybe it is time to sell. But just because you call me doesn't mean that's our end goal is I'm going to come there with a sale sign that's in my car and stick it in your front yard. I'm here to help.
Right. That is so important and so appreciated. So one more time, if somebody wants to reach you, best number?
321-298-5562.
Talking with Debbie Beard, who is Next Chapter Real Estate and a senior real estate specialist. And thank you, viewer, for joining us today on Helping Seniors TV. This is all about helping you to get your ducks in a row. And as Joe Steckler says, making that aging plan is a great tool to help keep that level of surprise, particularly when you're under stress. That's the worst time to make decisions. Let's get out in front of the aging curve and let's make good decisions today. So thank you for joining us on Helping Seniors Television. On behalf of our entire team, I'm Kerry Fink. We'll see you next time on Helping Seniors TV.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we would welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.